Guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Lawrence and this is Coding Paths, and today we're talking about the top 5 pitfalls when you're a self-taught developer. Alright, so time for a disclaimer. I just said self-taught developer and I know what you're thinking, but Lawrence, we're all self-taught developers out here, right? Dino.js just came out. There's no colleges teaching Dino.js in their bachelor's program. I understand that. There's always continual learning. Technology is continuing to change. You have to keep up with your skills. For the purpose of this video and for the purpose of this entire channel, when I say self-taught developer, I'm talking about a person who does not have a bachelor's degree in computer science, in electrical engineering, in software engineering, but nevertheless they made it into tech. Now that we got that out the way, let's jump into these different pitfalls. Pitfall number 1. Alright, the first pitfall you have to look out for, guys, are tutorials. Now I know what you're thinking, that's a little counterintuitive. Tutorials are how you learn, right? It's how you learn the language and the syntax, the libraries, the frameworks. The problem is sometimes we can get too comfortable with tutorials because oftentimes they'll have built-in IDEs and they'll have reward systems, little stars and cute hearts flying all over the screen. And congratulations, you did it. And you can actually kind of get addicted to that feeling of being successful in a tutorial and not actually be progressing towards the goal. So here's one solution to that. When you go through a section of any tutorial, I don't care what you're learning, a language, a framework, whatever it is, when you finish a section and it has you build a certain thing, turn off the tutorial, open up your IDE, your text editor, and rebuild that exact same thing on your own without Googling, without Stack Overflowing, without going back to the tutorial. If you can do it from beginning to end successfully, you've passed that mark on the tutorial. If you have not, that's when you want to go back into the tutorial, learn the part that you missed, and then try it again. That's one way a tutorial can be a pitfall. The second way a tutorial can be a pitfall is if you go so far in tutorial and things are going well. Let's say you're learning HTML and CSS and then you get to a certain part of JavaScript and it's just really complicated. It's really hard. And rather than pursuing it and going through the tutorial, you blame it on the platform. Well, this teacher's no good, or I don't respond to video lessons that well, or there's too much text. And what do? You go from that tutorial to another one. Which means very often you start from square one or square zero. You start from the beginning, you have that good feeling of knowing the things in the beginning, so you've lost time already, but then you get to that same part, and oftentimes it's still just as confusing. What is the solution? When you're going through a tutorial, if you've already vetted it out, and it's established to be a good tutorial by a good reputable source, a good author, when you start a tutorial, go through to the end. Don't try to rush it. Don't try to base yourself on anyone else's timeline, but go through to the end of that tutorial. It has been designed to give you the maximum impact when you go through it, from the beginning to the end. Pitfall number 2. Alright guys, pitfall number 2 is learning in a vacuum. I had to make this number 2 because I see it so often. When I was a self-taught developer coming up through a boot camp, I saw people who were isolated and they did not get the benefit of the camaraderie of learning as a group. Now, learning in a vacuum just means you're going down this journey alone. It's you, it's your tutorial, your laptop, and you're doing it alone. And guess what? Lots of folks do that and they make it. But I just wanted you to consider the things I'm about to say. There's an ancient African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go as a team. And that is so totally true when you're learning to code. Yes, get the best laptop you can. Get the best boot camp you can afford, or the one that makes most sense for your time and your budget. Get the best resources or tutorials that you can find, but also surround yourself with the best team that you can find. Seriously, I would not be where I am in software development right now if it wasn't for a core team of friends that I have around me, and we all push each other and encourage each other and motivate each other, and sometimes we just get on each other's nerves and have to just take a break, but that's okay too. The team effect of what I've experienced has been amazing. It's been beneficial, it's helped get me where I am, and I know it can do the same for you. What can the team do for you? They can help review your code. They can actually do open source projects with you. You can have open source experience with a core small team of people you trust and know before you even have your first interview. They can help let you know about job opportunities that are coming up. That maybe it's not in their realm of thinking, but it's more something that will be of your personality. They can actually help you with the language, because as you go through, some people will be better with certain types of logic and language. Other people will be better with other types. Having that team can go a long way. Now guess what? I'm making this video in the middle of May. It's quarantine time, COVID-19. Everybody's at home, which means your access to physical people and just going to meetups and tech user groups may be limited, except for one thing. Everything is online now. Like, everything is online. Webinars, tech conferences, tech meetups, they're all online. I was going to a Kubernetes and Terraform meetup sponsored in New York the other day from my garage here in Horn Lake, Mississippi, just south of Memphis, which means you can still build your network. You can still grow a team of people even under these conditions. So again, this lesson is don't just learn by yourself out in the vacuum. Learn in a community.
Pitfall number 3.
All right, guys, pitfall number 3 is comparing yourself to others. Now, once again, I already know what you're thinking. Hey, I don't compare myself to others. I'm my own man. I'm my own woman. I do me. And the funny thing that I've experienced over my life is I've learned a lot of people say that, but very few of us carry it through because society as a whole is all about comparisons. Mom would call this comparing yourself to the Joneses or the neighbors, seeing what the next person is doing and then making some kind of valuation on yourself based on that. And that is so unhelpful, especially in tech, especially when you're trying to learn tech. Because and the whole point of this whole channel, Coding Paths, is that there are infinite number of paths into technical careers, and your path may not look like someone else's, but that doesn't make it any less valid, right? And so it's so easy when you're reading videos, you're watching videos and reading blogs and things of that nature. You see some person, hey, they graduated from a top-notch university at 21 and they're at Google at 23 and they put 5 years in there, then they're at Facebook, and next thing you know, they got a startup raking in tons and tons of cash while they sit on the beach of Boca Raton. And you look at yourself and like, crap, like what have I been doing? It's too late. Absolutely not too late. I actually talked about this on a recent podcast with a friend. I'm going to put the link down in the description box. It is absolutely not too late. You are absolutely valid in your path, in your approach, just as you are. The thing is, you're not trying to beat anyone to a race. This is a marathon of one. And when you run that marathon, when you decide, hey, I'm right here, here's where I want to go, here's the path I'm going to follow, that path is absolutely at that point valid, and you should pursue it just like that.
Pitfall number 4.
All right, the fourth pitfall is not being consistent. And this one is really tricky because sometimes it shows up in a weird on and off kind of way. I call it the binge and purge philosophy, where maybe you're going so hard on Saturdays and you're just coding and you're going through the tutorials all weekend long, putting in 8 to 10 hours a day on Saturday and Sunday. And then the work week starts, right? And it's Monday morning and you're getting the kids off to school. And I'm talking as an adult with, kids and married in that whole scenario. And the next thing you know, it's the next Thursday and you realize you haven't put anything on your GitHub in a week. You haven't opened up Free Code Camp or your Udemy course in a week. And then you do open it up and you realize because you haven't been doing that spaced repetition to keep things fresh in your mind, you've actually forgotten most everything you did when you did all that monumental work over the weekend. That feels horrible. That's so demoralizing. And now it's kind of like, do I even want to continue this? Should I just quit? Maybe I'm not cut out for it. And none of those things are true. You've just got to get yourself consistent. So what are the solutions? Step number 1, find a daily minimum that you will absolutely invest every single day. This is for those who are self-taught developers learning to code. Find a daily minimum. It might be an hour for you. It might be 30 minutes. And then get creative with your timing. If you have a consistent thing of waking up at 6 a.m. every day, maybe you can say, hey, I'm going to wake up at 5:30. That will be my coding half an hour every day. And then when you get consistent on that, starting small and getting big, use that momentum, build up on that momentum to get more time each day until you're finding your groove. You don't want to have an on and off, start and stop, binge and purge kind of philosophy because that will definitely hurt you in the end. It will be very demoralizing. You will forget things and find yourself going over the same parts of the tutorial over and over again. Hey, I went through section 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 3 days pass and I got to go back to section 2 and do 2, 3, 4, 5. That's such a waste of time. Find a small amount of time, whatever it is for you, right? And I'm sure you've read many standards. You have to do 2 hours a day. You have to do 4 hours a day. Oh, I read about this blog post. This guy worked 9 hours a day and coded for 18 hours a day, right? Whatever it is, you see all these standards kind of back to the comparison thing. Find out what works for you. The true thing is you've got to be consistent. And you're learning and you're making, especially if you're making the transition outside of tech into a technical field, you've got to kind of get a rote pattern going where every day you're putting something in your head of a technical nature. Another solution you may want to look at is making your learning public. Get on Twitter, get on LinkedIn or other social media and post. 100 Days of Code is an awesome hashtag. So many people are doing it and you can relate to others in a positive way. Here's how they're doing what they're doing. I want to post my learning from day to day. 100 Days of Code is awesome. You also may want to look at various types of accountability, whether it's with friends or whether it's other digital platforms that make sure you do what you do or some penalties involved. I remember when I was learning my code, my My taskmaster was my wife, who would make sure if I said, hey, I have to be up at 4:30 tomorrow morning because I want to code from 4:30 to 6, she got me up from 4:30 to 6, and I was able to get consistent and learn a lot faster. So pitfall number 4 is make sure you're being consistent. Don't worry about how long the hours are. Make sure that every day you are going to bat for your own learning.
Pitfall number 5.
All right, you've made it to the end. And if you made it this far, I would love if you dropped a comment down below that just said, I made it to the end, or some other similar wisecrack. That would be really cool. Or actually, any words that aren't negative or inflammatory would actually help me. So drop a comment down below. Nevertheless, the 5th pitfall, the 5th thing that I want you to look out for is kind of a combo. And this is really talking about people who are self-taught developers trying to get a job, right? That is your objective. You're not learning this as a hobby and for fun. You're not learning it for the love of code, right? You are specifically learning to make a transition into a technical career. And that pitfall is waiting too long to apply and focusing on the wrong things when you get rejected. So waiting too long to apply means software development, software engineering, coding, programming. It is an academic exercise, but at the same time, it's not. And so there's not this set body of knowledge and you're gonna just learn all the things and then at that point you're ready. Because if you think in those terms, you're going to find yourself at your kitchen table, at your home office, wherever you code, in your garage, and you will find yourself learning for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and you're still not landing the job, right? Getting that first job is not about learning all the things. You can't learn all the things. It's about being able to demonstrate the right attitude. And we're talking about specifically trying to get that junior level developer job. Showing that you have competency in at least one major language, preferably one that is used at the company you're trying to get involved in. Working code in GitHub, on a server, right, on a domain. You've got working code out there that can demonstrate what you're doing. You are teachable. You don't think you're so great, you're the most amazing thing ever, that, right, they can't teach you anything. If you have those kind of basic fundamentals in place, it's ready, it's time to apply now. Don't wait till you know all the things about Node or all the things about MongoDB or whatever the technical topic is, because you're never going to know all the things. Knowing all the things is not the prerequisite to getting the job. Knowing enough to be able to be trusted with a portion of code and a learning ramp up that is suitable for that particular company. It's going to be different for every company, different for a startup than a design agency, than some large enterprise. It's different in every company, but that your learning ramp up matches what they can support, that is enough to go ahead and start applying. The next thing is waiting to apply too long means you don't get the benefit of the interview process. You want as many interviews as possible, not just for the job, but for the interview. The journey is just as important as the end result or the destination. You can learn so much in an interview. You should be taking notes in and after every interview. You should have so many learnings, so many things that you're accumulating knowledge-wise from, hey, I'm gonna do this better, or people are looking for this in this part of the country or this part of the world, for those who are more geographically flexible. You should be learning something from every interview, but if you don't start applying to get the interviews, it's the longer before you can get the learning. The second thing is, and I'm gonna wrap this up, once you have that interview, and let's say you get a rejection, then you want to find out as best you can what happened in that particular instance. Right? Was it not a fit culture-wise? Was I not competent enough in the primary language, or maybe one of the supporting languages, maybe something like SQL or something dealing with CI/CD or Agile? Try your best to find out. In some cases, you can get it through an interviewer or through a recruiter or through a third-party source. In some cases, even your friends, back to that team, they can kind of give you some insight into the things that you're missing. What you don't want to do is every time you get a rejection or every time you get ghosted by somebody, you're off trying to pick up a whole set of skills that doesn't relate directly to the reason you didn't get the first interview. Because that exercise alone can be exhausting. There, again, is no end to the learning in technology, particularly with how fast things are changing. So you want to be able to identify in one way or another, what are the blockers between me and a job, right? That's going to be a finite set of things. Let me knock those things out, wherever it is, whether it's my skills, whether it's my resume, whether it's my communication skills, whatever the things are, let me knock those things out and stop waiting to apply. This is kind of a long video. I haven't done this one this long before. I probably won't again. I'm totally tired. It's hot out here, but hopefully you've gotten some benefit from learning what the top 5 pitfalls to being a self-taught developer are. Peace.